Level Up Latina partners with working women and mamas alike to guide them in achieving fulfilling career and life goals through financial empowerment, professional or leadership coaching, and personal wellness. Find the unique coaching you need to succeed.
You're listening to Vettel, Ceci, and Irene, and we are Level Up Latina.
Welcome to another episode of the Level Up Latina podcast. This is episode 283, and today we're going to be talking about overcoming challenges as a Latina entrepreneur. I wanted to delve into this because I wanted to reflect back in vamos a cumplir 6 años as a business in May, I believe. So I just wanted to reflect back on this journey, on what we've learned, of what's worked and what hasn't worked, and how we've grown as podcasters and business owners. But before we get into it, ¿cómo están aquí mis co-hosts? Mis hosts.
Did you just call it hoes?
Yes, almost.
Okay. Eso fue la Vero de antes, okay?
Ya no.
Ya soy mujer casada y decente. Estamos bien.
We're good.
Tiro. We're ready.
Good, Ceci. We're on a roll. Okay. This is our third episode of the day. We're on a roll.
Okay, so I wanted to bring this to the table por lo mismo, right? Because we're learning, we had no idea how to podcast when we first got together 6 years ago. We were trying to figure out how we were going to start a business. Nadie nunca nos enseñó, right? As Latinas, how do you start a business? Where do you start from? So we kind of had to teach ourselves un poquito de todo, right? And I wanted to bring this to the table because as Latinas, we need a seat at the table in all fields. Las tres, we come with different backgrounds, and we all put básicamente nuestros talentos to work, and we made it happen. So I wanted to start off with, the first question, and I wanted you guys to reflect back on this, the last 6 years, and tell me about, what is one fear that you started having when we were about to start or launch the podcast?
That's such a good question. I think at first we were like, oh my God, we're really going to tell people all of our business? How much do we say? How much do we not say? And then we very quickly would, screw it, say it. But my goodness, to just say it. Just talk about your marriage, your sex life, your career. How much do I say? And in the beginning, remember, my husband was helping me edit the podcast and he didn't like what I said. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's right. It. He can't be involved. He will make me second guess what I say, and I need to be authentic. And if I'm talking about my suegra, I need to talk about my suegra. But I did have those fears at first, Ceci, for sure. We were going to get canceled by our own family.
Yeah, I think it got to the point where I was like, I cannot believe I said that. I feel that was the biggest.
I love that about you, though.
The biggest fear. Thank you. A veces me lo tengo que recordar. There's a post-it now right here on my screen that says, cuidado.
No way.
I'm just kidding. No, there's nothing like that.
Oh, I was like,
my God.
I love that about you.
No one's
give me that damn post-it.
Can't censor me. No.
Do not.
Yeah.
But you give us permission to be more honest.
I'm the Walensky. I'm the Zelensky of the podcasting world. I'm just kidding.
I know. Yeah.
What do you mean I gotta censor myself?
Oh my God.
I love it that we first afraid, but Ceci, I think we did not censor ourselves.
What about just starting the business overall? Any fears behind that?
I feel that we all kind of knew what we were looking for in the business and what we wanted to give into the business in the sense of our vision of the business. But it was more of all right, here we fucking go. It was more that than oh, we shouldn't do it. I don't think we ever said maybe we shouldn't do it anymore.
We were all in.
We were just nah. It was more of I felt that we had a good team. There was always, someone to, hey, here's the idea. Okay, someone to drive it and someone to check it. Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it this. So I feel that we had we're a unique combination in the sense many businesses are 1 to 2 partners, and with us being 3, there were the moments of oh my gosh, okay, here we go. It's 3 different ways of thinking, 3 different ways of seeing things, 3 different, ways to dissect information or present it. But through those moments, it was but that's also what makes us so dope and so great. Yes, it's tough in those moments, but at the same time, it's no, there isn't one right way. And what Ceci might think is good might be the best thing for us right now. And then what Irene says is this, maybe the next thing that we do, and going on like that. I feel like we were lucky to have, the trio instead of just a 1 to 2 person kind of thing.
I think at first for me personally, I was all in with the podcast, really excited about the podcast. And I was like willing to learn, which I thought was cool. Like I'll learn the website or I'll learn how to edit, I'll learn that. I wasn't as excited about the coaching. I felt like you two were more excited. I think like Ceci was the most excited, but I think it's because Ceci, you had just had a coach. So you were in a
I was all about it.
Let's do it. We're coaches. And I was always a little more, all right, girls, have fun. Like I think both of you had the first clients. Like I was just like that part I had to grow into. And then I felt getting certified gave me the confidence I needed. And then having clients. So the thing about an entrepreneur is you're not going to know unless you're doing it. You're not going to know selling unless you're selling. You're not going to know performing unless you're performing. People want to be better public speakers, but if they don't speak, you're always going to be afraid of it. Like you got to go out there and then like speak like crazy. And that for me was the first thing I resisted being a coach. And then I remember once I started doing it, I was like, shame on me. I should have known, like I was going to prepare because I care about my reputation. I care about my impact. I care about people. So once I had my clients, like I was overly prepared, kind of how you would describe being prepared for the podcast, Ceci, how you were like, you would practice, you would write it down, you would look yourself in the mirror. You wanted to perform on the podcast. That came easy to Vero and I, like, oh, talking to each other and who cares what people think? Let's just go, whatever. We'll regret what we said later. That we were comfortable, but I was like telling people how to do, what to do, when to do it. I used to get overly prepared for my clients. And then I realized after, I am like a coach. Like if I had that skill, but I needed to be told first. Like I needed to get certified to feel like, here's the way I'm going to do it. This other certifying mind is telling me I'm going to do it. Okay, that gives me confidence. And then I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to be me when I do it. And I'm going to be prepared and I'm going to know what I'm doing. Like I don't wing it. So I should have known that about my personality, that I would have been prepared. But así le tenía miedito, for sure, Ceci. I was like afraid to be someone else's coach. But I think that's imposter syndrome telling you, you might not be good at that little whisper.
¿Quién soy yo to tell them, you know?
Yeah. Who am I to tell them how to do SMART goals? Well, fuck, ChatGPT came around. They're telling people what to do.
It's so funny because like for me, it was totally the opposite because I was doing that throughout my corporate career. Like once I was in charge of a team, I was like, okay, well, how do I hold them accountable? Right. So it was a lot of that. So for me, eso me salía like fácil. It was the other part where I was like, I was having kids. I was just in a different like kind of space. I was just like, now I think it was more of like, how am I going to give people advice if I'm doing I'm living a different life now, like in a sense, creating a whole different life for myself. But then at the same time, I was like, well, these people want to create a different life for themselves. So this is how to, like, I can speak to that in this way. But yeah, for me, it was like kind of a little bit of a blend, an opposite effect of like, I have this now, but how do I have them feel like what I say is legit because of where I'm currently living, you know? So yeah.
I get it. I've been there, done that, but now I'm in mommy mode. Like, do they know I'm credible? Right?
Yeah, like that.
I don't know what she's talking about. She led a team. She can mentor you. She's been doing it. Don't get it twisted. Just because she's breastfeeding right now doesn't mean, you know,
yeah.
that kind of, those emotions,
Exactly.
right? I get it.
Yeah, like
and then
that.
me, I'm over here leading a big old team and I have a bunch of people that I'm coaching. I've been coaching people for 10 years. Like I just had to
everyday
change how I
life.
saw it.
For me, it was like, I didn't want to do it alone. I'm like, hey, I want to start this. And it was when I was going to take a break from practicing law and I didn't want to do it alone. And I, the conversations that the three of us had, I was like, oh my, Irina and Vero are perfect to start this. And like you said, I had just had my own coaching experience. So I was all about it. I had done the certification. Well, no, at that point when we actually launched, I had already stopped working like 2 months prior, I think. And so I was all about it. I had done the training and I was all about it. I'm like, yeah, I have the time. Lo que me daba miedo era, well, one, to start it by myself. Oh my God, there's no way that I want to do this by myself. And two, I didn't, I was kind of nervous about like, oh my God, what am I going to say on the podcast? Like, how do I start talking? What do I say? And if you guys listen to the first maybe, I don't know, 50 episodes, just to be callada, and I'll just like, chime in here and there, and I don't say much. Vero and Irene were always like the more of the chatter boxes. Yo being callada, just observing, like I have to process it. I have to process before I speak. So I think I was fear of like, oh my God, what am I going to say? How is it going to come out? How is my voice going to sound? So those were my fears. Like, no lo quería hacer sola, y tampoco I wasn't sure how people were going to respond to what I was saying. Y también, like, I would always like check in with Luis. I'm like, hey, can I share this story? And I still do, like, if like depending on how personal the story is, igual, because, I didn't want to put stuff out there that perhaps he wasn't comfortable with me sharing. So, teníamos que estar como que checking in with the hubbies, like, can we talk about this? Or what do you think about this? So,
yeah.
Yeah. I've been more relaxed in that sense.
I don't know about you, Vero, but I don't think we're checking in with hubbies, Vero. I don't think we are checking in with hubbies. Did you check with your hubby ever about a story? I think we
I did at the beginning.
I think for me, it was
No,
more
I'm saying
like,
it's good that you did it, Ceci.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I don't,
yeah,
I think Vero and I
you.
probably-
I don't think I checked in.
No?
I think the only time I tell him, I was like, oh my God, I just talked about butt sex. I just talked about anal. And he's like, what? You know? He's like, that's very personal. I was like, yeah, but it is what it is, right? I'm like, he's like, well, you already talked about it, you know? But I'm like, oh my God. And then later when he said it like that, I was like, maybe I shouldn't have shared that. Oh my God, how dare I, you know?
I think a lot of
But yeah,
times
it
it's
was
like,
when
oops, ya lo dije.
Yeah.
But okay, bueno, I'm glad, Ceci, I love it. I love that you asked, you know.
But I learned from you guys, from you too, like from seeing but maybe I should mention like, hey, here's the topic, you know, when we do have the topics in advance and it's going to be something where I know that it's relevant. A story between him and I or regarding him would be relevant or useful to share. Then I do check in because it's not my story, right? It's not my story. I can't be like, but it's something that's really like between both of us. Like, oh.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, so I think I shared a story about on the podcast about how his high school counselor was telling him like, oh, he shouldn't apply to Cal or like he should, stay local. And I was like so upset about it. And I told him like, can I share this on the podcast? Y me dijo que sí. And I even like wanted to write to like the counselor. Remember, like,
love that.
Look at him now.
Love that.
Yeah.
No,
Didn't we write 50 letters?
I know, right?
No, I think it's good. However it had to come across, however you had to share it. Like, I have a little bit more power on the back end because there's been plenty of things that I've edited out, actually. That I'm like, oh, maybe let me make it sound like this. Like if Vero said one word too many times that let's just use that word once. And then I'll make us sound a little less crude if I feel like. So I've taken a little bit of creative, like, or if Irene has said a story that I'm like, oh, I said that person's name. That whole story's out. So the real raw files, only the three of us have heard. We're already at TMI, but we could always tell each other after the fact, like take that person's name out, or I said my coworker's name or something, right? Like, I think we're doing a pretty good job of also not ridiculously TMI and throwing people under the bus.
Or like, hey, I shared someone's pregnancy. Please remove it.
Exactly.
No one knows yet. No one knows yet.
I know.
So as an entrepreneur, you're navigating, like, we are entrepreneurs in our friendship, 3 friends that we off air, like the stuff we say, we have to be careful on air because we also may cross a line and tell somebody's business.
I will share that we, share the chisme either before or after the recording because we want to know, we want the full story, right? Not just the tidbits.
So when you hear us talking all carefully, not trying to out people in our lives, the other 2 partners do know exactly who we're outing in our lives.
Oh, yeah, we do.
As it should be. But Ceci, what else? What else did you want to ask us about being Latina entrepreneurs? So I know we talked fears, which is a good challenge. What else?
So fears was the first question. The second question is about growth. So how do you feel that you've grown as a business owner or podcaster or both? ¿Alguien quiere empezar? Si no, I can start so you guys can, think about it. So I feel that I'm a better speaker. I'm still working on the ums and likes because that is, oh my God, that is so hard. But I'm a better speaker and it's helped me both at work, in my prior practice. I wasn't doing presentations, and now in my current job, I do have to do presentations like at legal centers, at senior centers, and I have to do them in Spanish. So estoy practicando, right, in English and in Spanish. And so having a bilingual podcast has definitely helped me in those worlds, right? Navigating my career, I hardly have to speak to a judge, but when I do, I me siento más cómoda because I am always talking and know that what I'm saying is out there in public, right? And people are listening to it. The other thing that I feel that I've learned and gotten better at is learning like the finances, learning how to manage that, how to look at the numbers, what's going in, what's going out, and it's helped me like manage my own money, just looking at, creating an Excel sheet and looking at my personal finances. How much am I spending? Do I have a budget for that? Sitting down with my husband, managing our finances. I mean, even just yesterday, we were sitting together planning our summer as a family and the girls' camps and all that. And what's the budget for that? And, we created a spreadsheet like 2 years ago. And so now we just go off that, like, okay, these are the camps that we had. And so just looking at that and being more, I want to say I'm becoming better at being savvy with technology, because I always, I've always said like, oh, I'm not good at that. I'm like, oh my God, I need to stop saying that, because uno mismo, if you're saying that out loud, that's what you're projecting, right? So I'm trying not to say that anymore, and like taking out and not being afraid, like, all right, yeah, I'll look at that, like, oh, you know what, let's look at our taxes, or I'll help with the taxes this year, and even my own personal taxes and with the company. And so I think that's something that I've learned and that I've grown. Like, ya no me da miedo. Like, all right, let's take this on. And even if it's going to take me longer, because I process things, differently perhaps. And like, it takes me a while to get things. I'm not afraid, I guess, to, give it a try. You said this?
That's so cool, Ceci. I think it's good that you even bring light to that, like you being willing to do those things. I think I agree with you. Like I too tried to be willing to be more tech savvy in the beginning and like learn it. And then as the business is going along, for the sake of our business, the three of us, like, here, Sissy, yeah, you want to get better at it, go for it, take it on. Like, let me know. Like, it's cool. Like, also we have this ebb and flow. Like, sure, I could just figure it out. Like you said, you move, it takes you a while. Like, maybe I could do it faster, but that doesn't mean I should do it, because then you wouldn't know how to do it, right? Like, so we've come into a really good ebb and flow. Like, just because I could finish this A to Z, technically, I shouldn't. Like, it's our three of us in this business. Like, you finish one part of it, Vero does one part of it, I do one part of it, and all three of us took part in the technology in whichever way we were comfortable. So you're right. Like, we've all gotten better, but we have to give each other the chance to get better, right? So Vero always did our taxes. Now we know how to do the taxes. Like, it's cool to share that. We all get to learn the new thing to do. So we also have to have like all right, my turn to put this on or figure this out, how to do this. And then my time also to step back. That person wants to get better. You said, I want to get better at the finances. Then I can't take over. If I feel like, let them do it. Let them figure out how to do it. And learning how to work together, I think you're super spot on. We have to say we can do it. We have to learn how to do it. We have to let each other learn how to do it. We have to let each other fail, because also in failing and doing it wrong, we learn, right? So it's been really cool. But I love that you said that you're leaning into the things that you thought you weren't good at first.
And the technology.
You said technology and finances, but we also have to lean back. Like, if one of us is good at technology and finances, we have to lean back to let the other partner lean in and get better at it. I think that's like important for entrepreneurs, because there is three of us. I would say one thing that I've gotten better at as an entrepreneur, this is something that I did in my professional life, that, you have awareness that you're good at it because you're doing it in your professional life. And it's the same skill that you need in your business life, when you own a business, when you earn your own paycheck and you don't work for someone else. But I've gotten better at the bottom line. What things do I need to do that move the needle in my professional life and what I do at my quote unquote 9 to 5? We recruit volunteers. We call them mentors, and we raise money because it's a nonprofit, and that's money. So with the greater picture there, I have always through the years been like, we focus on mentors, we focus on money, we focus on mentors, we focus on money. My job as a CEO is always to see that those things are working. The volunteer piece of it, which is really a lot more than mentors, but I use it as a code word. Like, I know that means the programs, the students, they're good. The things we do, the things we offer the students. If I'm focused on mentors, that means I'm focusing on all of that. If I'm focusing on money, then I'm fundraising, and there's money to pay your staff and to grow your team and to have a bigger team and to do really great things with stability and investments. So there I focus on money, I focus on mentors, focus on money, focus on mentors. And after all the years, we've just gotten better at it. And it shows in our numbers and just how much growth we've had, and our budget doubling year over year over year, and people making more money. As an entrepreneur, it's the same exact skill. What do I have to focus on? What makes money? And I don't know if you guys even know this about me. The things that I'm in on with the business are the things that I know have a bottom line that makes money. If I'm not in on it, that doesn't make money. You're not going to have me volunteering or helping. It's what moves the needle. I'm willing to help. Like, I'm willing to show up to something that helps, but I'm very good at moving the needle on things that actually get a result, because as a CEO, that's my job. I have to move the needle on things that get a result. Satisfied staff is staff that gets paid more money, but also get treated with respect and like where they come to work. So I have to raise enough money to create that. Does that make sense? Like, I'm working and I'm going in reverse, right? Same thing with an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs, I see so many as my clients that are focused on the wrong thing. And they're spending so much time spinning their wheels on the wrong thing. And it's like, that's not going to get you results. That's not going to make you money. You're focused on the wrong thing. Through the years, I've just gotten so much better as what's the thing that's going to get the result. Now, all the things you do in the middle, you still have to do, by the way. I'll maybe take a step back on things that don't have an end result. But if it has an end result and it has a productive end result, there's a sale, there's a relationship, there's a podcast, there's something that's launched, there's an event that happens, then I'm in, because those things move the needle. There's too many things that we focus on in entrepreneurs. So many entrepreneurs leave the business. They burn out. One example, they don't want to do social media. Well, if you don't do social media, but you're trying to sell a product on social media, you got to do social media. Like, I'm sorry to tell you, like that, you got to move the needle. You got to move the needle. You have to do social media if you're selling on social media. Okay. I can try to hold the person accountable, but if they don't want to show their face or post a post or do something, they don't do it. So it's like us not having a solid website. And we must not be trying to sell coaching. Like, our website has to work. You have to be able to buy. You have to be able to click. You have to know what we're selling. You have to drive traffic there. I'm very good at the bottom line. But a lot of people, I think, avoid the bottom line, and they do all these things. And it's mental gymnastics, which is the theme of today's 3 podcasts, to not do the thing that moves the needle forward. And I really like more and more about myself, like what moves the needle forward. So arguing with your partners isn't going to move the needle forward. We had years where we're like barely getting along. That's not going to move the needle forward. It's going to make our business worse, right? So don't focus on that. Make that better by focusing on the right things, right? So that's one example. Also, having clients, working with my clients. If I'm a good coach, that's going to lead to more clients. Those clients are going to stay. They're going to tell their peers. Their peers are going to sign up. Focusing on what matters, right? Focusing on the bottom line. If I want clients, what do I have to do to have good clients and have more clients? Always focusing on the bottom line. So that I've gotten better at through the years. And I had that, I think, as a professional. And then the other thing is like just having boundaries. As an entrepreneur, you also have to have like boundaries. You can't be spread too thin. There's only so many hours in the day. And so if you want to work on your business, you got to work on your business and focus on your business and do it right and show up. And then when you're not, and you got to let it go. Entrepreneurs can be in their business all day. And if you let it consume you, it's like very unpleasant. You got to clock in and clock out for yourself. And then when you're clocked out, you really got to clock out. You really got to like, I'm not doing the business right now. And that's okay. And you can have seasons and reasons. As an entrepreneur, you decide this year you want to make this much. And this year you want to make this much. And sometimes they're like hugely different numbers. And one year you want to make 6 figures. And another year, you know what? I'm just going to make 20 grand. That's fine. That's great. 20 grand? No, que te lo regala. I'll take it. And that's okay too. But that's about boundaries. You got to have boundaries to know when you're pushing, when you're releasing, when you're in it, when you're not in it, and you're okay with it. Entrepreneurship is a boundary struggle too. Like some people want to be like gazillionaires and running these huge conglomerate businesses. Good for them. They're probably working 120 hours a week. Good for them. That's not you. Don't compare yourself. You know what you're doing. You know why you're doing it. And you have, and maybe boundaries isn't even the word. Maybe it's limits. This is my limit this year or this week or this day. And I've gotten better at that. Like if I want to lean into the thing that matters and my limits get expanded and I want to spend more time on the business, or if I want to take a step back, spend less time on the business, but I'm doing that willingly. So then I don't feel bad. You don't feel guilt. You don't feel bad at all. You guys can tell, like she's on it right now. She's working on this. She's excited about this. She's off right now. She's not excited about this. It's cool. Like I don't feel bad about that. Like I'm very clear about what I'm working on, what I'm not, when I'm in, when I'm out. And when Vero was going to go back to work, I love how we were, things are going to change. Who wants to take on more? Who will do? And I was like super excited about that. Like, Vero, do you need help with this? Or maybe not. Vero, maybe you want to do this more, right? Like that's kind of cool. Like we knew we needed to adjust limits and expectations for each other. And if we can do it for individuals, we got to do it for our partners. Like when you were going through stuff with your mom and she's sick and she's passing, you just take the gas off of Ceci. We got you, girl. I don't even think we even asked. We're like, we're canceling the podcast. Like, I love that. And that's what entrepreneurship is. Entrepreneurship is a veces puedes, a veces no. And it's going to hurt the money, sure, but you're a human. And you got to take that step back.
I love that because you could only get spread out so thin. And if you're spread out too thin, then you're not going to succeed in one thing or the other. Vas a estar ahí atorada. So thank you for sharing that. Y tú, Vero, how have you grown as a podcaster and business owner, or both?
I think in being open about what I'm capable of doing, you know. I think for the beginning part of our business, you know how we were saying shifting responsibilities, shifting priorities in the sense of like, hey, I'll take this on, I'll do that. I feel that I had in a sense less kids, more time, right? And as I had more kids, I had a little bit less time. But I feel that being able to comfortably say, hey, you guys, I can't do this. And I think that for me was just like, I'm not that I can't do it or that I wasn't capable of doing it. I was just didn't have like the mental capacity or the time in a sense to get it done. So it just growing into really being able to communicate that with you too. And then having the support, right? Having the support. Also being willing, like, hey, if I'm not doing it right, then please, like, let me know how to do things right. I feel that so many times we say, like, oh, be coachable, be willing to do this, be willing to learn and be open and adaptable. And I really meant it. Like, I feel that I got more comfortable saying like, hey, maybe if I don't know it all, then it's fine. Like, we're all learning how to do something here. Like, we were self-taught in a lot of aspects of our business. So I was just okay with that. I'm like, no, it's like if there's a better way, then I'm open to it. And I think that many times it may have at first maybe came across as like, oh, Vero's like, maybe came across as like me being ¿cómo se dice cuando, like, not stubborn, but like maybe like hard
Necia.
to like, stubborn,
Bueno,
necia,
sí, es lo mismo,
like
necia.
hard to like get through, right? Like, oh, why didn't she get it? But it's like, it was more of like, well, then for me, I have to like understand the process of it as well, right? Like, okay, then let me see how this is better. Show me. But being willing to do that. I think I've always been pretty flexible, adaptable. And I think in the 6 years of business that we've had 6 different years, and if we've learned, it's been like taking every opportunity, what works, what doesn't. If this seems to be popular, let's go with that. Let's try it out. But we've been very comfortable in taking a risk, taking that risk and like, let's see how this goes. Let's go. Let's see how it goes. And then doing the best that we can with it. So with that, I think that, the hardest part is just realizing your capacity, right? And it's not that you don't want, it's like, I feel that we each love the business and what we do wholeheartedly, when it comes to the podcast, when it comes to coaching, when it comes to our GFS community, when it comes to like putting together our events, and there's just capacity when it comes to that. And I think sometimes it's really difficult and challenging to realize what our capacity really is at that given moment, because we're each going through different things at that given time. But we've made it through in 6 years. And I feel that knowing where we're at capacity wise was good. I feel that was a good learning lesson for us when it came to like our brunch, being more involved all together, because we each have such unique things that we can contribute, right? So I think, most of it has been that, allowing myself to learn and unlearn, relearn, be adaptable, be flexible, being able to like analyze our business and thinking of new ways that we can improve it, and, allowing that to kind of go and, all right, let's reassess, let's get together, reassess and restructure if we need to, and move forward, but being very open with that. Because entrepreneurship, like we mentioned, both you and Ceci have mentioned, Ceci and Irene, like it's challenging. It is hard. And sometimes when you're a solo owner, it's like you're on your own, right? And then when there's two, there might be disagreements. You can never find out, and then it falls apart. And with us, we've been through like very different challenges with our business. But I felt that through those challenges, we've been able to really come out and shine and still be like, okay, you really want to do this? All right, let's freaking do it. And we hold each other to it, to show up. And I feel for me that there was times where it was hard to show up, but knowing that I did not want to disappoint you too, because of, the amount of work and time we've put into what we're doing here in this business, like really pushed me through, So, yeah.
Qué bonito.
Qué bonito. Sí, you mentioned being adaptable. You mentioned not wanting to disappoint each other. And also it has to do with like, we respect each other's boundaries. Like, okay, we said we're going to show up, like, let's show up. And if we can't show up like as our best selves, or we can't show up like and give a good quality podcast, mejor no grabamos, ¿verdad? Entonces, so just learning, because, life be lifing, como dicen, y las cosas pasan, and we've gone through so much in the last 6 years, but we've also grown so much.
We're doing it together. Yeah, that's really unique about this business, because we're doing it together. We don't have to be alone. So we're more likely, I think, to not quit because of each other. We would probably quit Level Up Latina si estuviéramos solas.
Right.
So we're more likely to not quit because of each other. It's also that much harder because of each other. So anybody listening to this, we're not going to sit here all day and give you a 25-hour clinic. But if you want it, let us know and we'll do a little business clinic, because we have a lot of lessons learned. It's easier because we have each other, and it's harder because we have each other. So I love that Vero brought up capacity, because we needed to learn each other's capacity and trust each other. And that wasn't going to come with anything other than time. Like, once time went on, we knew who's good at what or why, or that we can trust each other, what our intentions were, how we would be as business owners, how we would show up as business owners. So I love that we have, through time, had each other so we can build trust in our own way. We've learned so much, and I love that we've learned to count on each other and to be honest with each other about when we need more support from one another or when we need to take a step back. I think entrepreneurship with 3 people is so freaking different and unique. And so we learned a lot, Ceci.
Yeah, we definitely did learn a lot. Somos tres, our podcast is unique that it's 3 co-hosts. I recall a couple years ago I had done this training and someone had suggested like, well, maybe just one of you guys should, do the podcast, or maybe just one of you guys interview. And we talked about it. We're like, pero como que no, I don't know. It's not going to be the same. And we're just so used to just, Vero's comic relief, Irene with her tip of the day, and me with my silliness, I guess.
Meal of the day.
With your song.
My songs.
Your food and song of the day.
My food and songs of the day. Yes, I am a foodie. My last question to wrap this up, and just the thought of us being juntas en el mes de, marzo, the Women's International Day this month. Like, I wanted to end this episode with this question. So, what is one thing that you would do different if you could go back to 2019, the year that we started? ¿Qué harían diferente? And I can share my thoughts. So my thought would be to get involved with the technology and the finances earlier on, just because I think I came in with the idea that like, oh, we each have our niche, right? Vero was doing the finances. She's good with the numbers. Irene is good with the technology. But, we knew this all along. Que tú lo aprendiste solita, So maybe I if I could go back, I would, get involved with it sooner. There was periods, and up until recently, like I hadn't logged in to change anything on the website in like years, because me daba miedo, like I'm like, oh my God, what if I delete the website on accident? And I was able to upload our 101 manifesting 101 a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I was so proud of myself that I got to do that. So I think I would have done that sooner. I would have gotten my feet wet in the technology and finances world earlier if I could go back. But other than that, I don't know that if there's anything else that I would have done differently. Maybe something else will come up. But ¿y ustedes qué piensan? ¿Qué harían diferente if you could go back to 2019 when we launched?
I really liked that first year. I liked the 2019 year. Launch parties and being excited and not knowing what this was. The podcast, I remember, had all these technical issues. It would like drive me crazy, drive me insane. Those things have all sort of worked themselves out. But as we were going along, man, a freaking pandemic started. So, wow, our business really had to evolve throughout the pandemic. I would have had more patience with the two of you in the beginning. I was very impatient. I felt like I knew a lot because of being a professional, that I just felt I had a lot of answers in terms of selling and doing and fundraising and all that. But just be patient. Just let us all come into our own. Because now if you reflect on it, like people will come into their own and they have something to bring. We all have something to bring. It's just unique and different. So I'd be more patient. So I like how the business has transpired. I like how it's been profitable, how it's been helpful. I love how we have the Guilt-Free Squad, and that started organically. And maybe all along we would have been group coaching. Maybe we would have started that sooner. But I don't know. Maybe it had to happen how it had to happen, right? If you change something, it's hard to be like, well, maybe more patience. But otherwise, like I wouldn't have what I have now. And I like what we've built. It's a hard question.
Yeah. ¿Y tú, Vero?
I'm kind of along the same lines. We wouldn't be where we're at if we wouldn't have gone through every single thing that we went through.
Yeah, it's
it's like it's like LUS. It's its own little being. It's its own little person. Being. Oh, look at me making corporations. I'm just kidding. Making corporations, people. Me and my best friend Trump. Yeah, I feel that. Yes. Can we go back and reflect and change things? Yes, obviously we could have done many things better. Or have been like, hey, why don't we implement this now and kind of go from there? We should all be on the same page and we'll do this. But I feel the fact that we are 3 unique people, we were going to do things differently. Like something was going to be like, well, that doesn't work for me, so I'm going to do it like this. So, but at the end of the day, how I started, if we go back and change anything, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. And that's the beauty of a business, right? It grows and evolves, and sometimes it takes you to places where you didn't think you would be at. And then you kind of grow and you learn from there and go to the next thing. So, no, I think I probably would maybe, I could say, not take things personal, not take things like so hard. But at the same time, this is something that we each loved uniquely. And we've loved, like I said, wholeheartedly. And it was a new thing for each one of us, that it was challenging not to take things personal. It was challenging not to not be patient or not be impatient, because there's there's 3 different minds at work here. And that's where I'm like, no, but if we wouldn't have had those moments, then we wouldn't be where we're at. So I'm glad that we've gone through what we went through. And ahí está. Se hace lo que se puede cuando se puede. Con lo que tienes.
The beautiful thing is I think we have always been like a friendship first, even if the business suffers. And that might sound crazy to people, but like we came here as like damn near sisters from college. So we wanted that more than a business that maybe could have been profitable in the first 18 months, right? Like that's like some crazy beast of a thing that we would have built and probably hate each other now. So I love that we wanted to be friends first.
We wouldn't be friends anymore.
We wouldn't be friends anymore. And Ceci, you'd be the reason. No,
Cabrona.
La más calladita, calmadita de todas. La más calmadita de todas. Tip of the day is going to be, if you are starting a business and you want to have 3 business partners, you got them right here. You just got to be a part of Level Up Latina. You don't got to do it alone either. That's the tip of the day. Whatever way, we're here. Be in our squad. Join the collective. Get a coach here. No one has to do it alone because there's so many people out there trying to start something on their own and it's so hard. I do not envy that. I'm really grateful for the 2 of you. So if someone needs that support from us, that's the tip of the day. We're here in whatever capacity. And if it is you listening to the podcast, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, this was a good one to reflect. So we learned a lot. Irene's tip of the day was great. También we learned que, don't take things personal and be more patient. And I think we learned that through the years, porque como dijimos, maybe we wouldn't be friends anymore if things would have gone differently. Pero aprendimos. We're still learning. We're still like adapting. Vero mencionó mucho que, she was adaptable. So aquí estamos, vivitas y coleando, still growing and loving what we do as podcasters, as coaches, and, loving our community that we built. I think that's such a cool thing that we did. So with that, I want to invite you all to check out our services on our website, leveluplatina.com, where you'll learn more about our one-on-one coaching, our guilt-free community. También on our website, you can learn more about our affiliates. Our affiliates are different companies, great companies that selected us to partner with. So check them out. Today, I want to highlight Rael because it's designed by women for women. And when it's that time of the month, they have clean products. So check them out and you'll support their company, but also support us if you click directly on the link on our website. And if you're not following us already, do so on Instagram and Facebook. Our handle is @leveluplatina. If you want to send us a DM, go ahead and do it there. Or if you want to send us an email, our email is admin@leveluplatina.com. So don't forget to level up, ladies. Felicidades otra vez this month for March being Women's International Month. Be strong, be authentic, be yourself, and don't be afraid to continue learning. Y acuérdense que juntas somos más fuertes. That's a wrap, chicas.
Bravo, bravo.